What's going on, people? CP3, live from the lab, coming to you with the Redskins pre-draft special for Sports on the Hill podcast on True Radio Network. Then the second, we'll have the USA Today media group insider and co-host of Sports on the Hill podcast, Dujunnea coming on with his expertise and all his inside knowledge of the draft and everything. So he'll be chiming in soon. So make sure y'all jump on if you got any questions or concerns about the draft coming up this weekend. I'll be at the pre-draft draft party at FedEx Field. Be out there shooting some footage. Gonna go Facebook Live, meet up with some of the fans of the team, and have a good time out there with y'all. So y'all make sure y'all come out there and the NFL draft and the start of the season and seeing who this team is going to pick up to help improve this franchise that's on its way up, but could still use some more help. Trying to get Dujunnea on now. Look like it's trying to add. But be sure to tune in. Hope y'all tuned in last night for the pre-game special for the Caps game that we had with Special Olympic gold medalist Haley Skarupa. That was a great interview we had. Robbie did a great video and did the audio and got everything very nicely done. So I hope y'all go check it out. It's back up on our page, SportsOTHP on Facebook. There go my man Dujunnea coming in. So y'all make sure y'all go check that out. We had a great interview with Christina Burton about the DC Divas 52-0 victory this past weekend. We talked about the Caps game and hopefully they would win Game 6, which they did. So you can go check that out on sportsothp.com. Google us. It's all there. What's going on, Dujunnea? Let's get into some pre-draft talk since we got the draft coming up this weekend. I was just letting the folks know I'll be at the draft party at FedEx Field, hopefully getting some footage and rubbing elbows with some of these great Redskins fans. How you doing today, good sir?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Staying busy before the draft.
About to get busier, man. You know, it's crazy for me because with the Caps, the Wizards, the Valor, the Divas, I'm covering stuff nonstop. So now your season about to pick up now. So we both about to be knee deep in sports news and everything.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a crazy week, and usually this is our prep time to start getting draft pick articles together so they can get the information out as quickly as possible. And yeah, just information that's coming in and trying to get a peg on where the team might go. So yeah, it's a busy time, but it's always fun. Draft is always fun, especially covering the Redskins and looking at it from an NFL standpoint as I cover the NFL as well for Sports Journey Media. It's just fun to watch the whole process and see how things are going to shake out here in a couple of days.
Well, it's always good to have you on the team because, you know, I don't watch college anything. So you're our go-to guy for the NCAA. You out there in SEC country with all the prime candidates and all the studs. So I love having you on the team so you can enlighten me and enlighten our viewers of some of these studs that you've been scouting and who the Redskins might be looking toward drafting, depending on how things fall where they're made. So we're going to go ahead and just jump out there and get to some of your top prospects in this draft. We'll just go with the first two rounds because we know everything gets muddied after that. But how do you think the Redskins with the 13th pick, you know, depending on who's on the board, where do you think the Redskins are looking to go, and where do you think they're going to go with the way you think things may fall out?
You know, I've looked at this thing over and over again, and things can change so quickly in that first round. I know there's a lot of people that think that it's pretty much cut and dry from 1, 2, 3, and 4, but you very well may not get, you know, as many quarterbacks to go in that first round as they think. The Giants are one of those teams that are up in the air. They could go running back, they could go quarterback, but they could also look to go defense. They did just lose JPP, so that could shake up things a bit. None of those things at the top of the board, though, are going to really change what the Redskins do because they'll have a litany of players that will be there at that 13th pick. Now, my thing is, though, there's always that desperate team You look down the board, the Saints. You look at, there's been talk about possibly Pittsburgh looking to field their replacement. I don't think that that's true, but anything's possible. You look at the Patriots with all the things going on there. People a little bit tired of the hoodie, and Brady's getting older. They could very well come up and get a quarterback. There's going to be a desperate team on that board at 13. Could they possibly trade back? Yeah. Is it something they're probably looking at? I don't think so. You know what I mean? I think if they presented the opportunity, because look, they don't have a third. And I'm sure they'd love to have a third, or they'd love to get another second. This team needs players that can play right now. You saw Doug Williams today said, best available player on the board. Sometimes that player is not, the player that you at your need is not the best player on the board. So I would think they would go need in the first round. There's too many great players at the top of that board. You look at the corners, the safeties they have there. You talk about Vita Vea. You talk about the guy from Alabama. I can't think of his name right now. But they've got guys on the board that are going to be there. Now, I have my feelings on that, whether, even offense. You need a guard. You need a guard. There's going to be guys up there. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a guy that, now, granted, they hit on Sheriff, and that's an excellent thing. At this point in time, I don't think at the 13th pick, you 100% sell it in, mail it in, and say, I'm going to go get a guard. I don't care if it's Nelson. I don't care if it's Henderson. Those guys are monsters and men among boys, but the value's not there. That's just the thing. And if you're going to trade back and gain something, and then you can go get your guard, I don't have a problem with that. But with your 13th pick, and you're going to sign that and hand that in to the commish, nah, bro, not at that pick. I think they go defense, though. You have to, and you're being focused on defense and understanding how defense works. And I've said this from the beginning. If you read a lot of the articles that we started from the jump, and that I started from the jump, trenches are first. It's cool. You want to have a safety in a corner. That's great. But this team has young talent from front on that back end to handle that. But you can't have, I don't care, you can have a bunch of Josh Normans, you can have a bunch of Deion Sanders, I don't care who you got back there. If your front seven can't consistently get to the passer, they're going to look like a bunch of bums on the back end. So the trenches are first. And if they can, which this team hasn't had in forever, and you can't even say Dana Stubblefield was a nose tackle, you know what I mean? You can't even say that guy was a nose tackle.
I was trying to forget that stuff, man. I was trying to forget Haynesworth. I was trying not to even think about that. I'm trying to think that we've made a step forward and don't have to think about those days. But we got a couple of folks in. Jarrell Wilson says the 49ers on the rise, an O lineman in the corner, and a wide receiver would be great for them. But I don't really. So someone, Mark Lewis said Minka Fitzpatrick.
Mark, that is a good pick. If the guy is there, I don't know how you can deny it. And I'm not saying that those guys aren't valuable. I'm just saying, do you go? A safety's not going to help you on the back end. I don't care if he's Sean Taylor resurrected. If the front seven can't be consistent and generating pass rush and just being disruptive, I'm talking about disruption. You want to go look at somebody, and Redskins fans hate this, but the Cowboys have been, before last year, and even last year they weren't exceptional, but they have been disruptive. They don't have anybody on that back end that I give a crap about. They're garbage. But the fact of the matter is, if the quarterback doesn't have time, I can have a bunch of C-grade guys back there because they're not having to cover for more than 7 seconds because the pressure is there and he's going to dump it to the back. or he's going to have to scramble, or he's going to take a sack. It's one or the other. Like, I love the guy. Fitzpatrick and my boy from Florida State, amazing guys, but they don't play in the trenches. And that's where the Redskins' problems have been, in the trenches. And this year, it's about consistency for this football team. If they want to be anything better than 7-9 and what they were last year, of course, you have to stay healthy, but they have to be consistent. And consistency starts in the trenches. You look at the good football teams, Jacksonville is one of those. Tennessee is one of those. Consistency in the trenches is where it's at on both sides of the ball. So I don't disagree with the Fitzpatrick. I'm just not taking him at 13. Got to get the front seven better for the Washington Redskins.
No doubt, because you got to remember, you got Jonathan Allen coming back. You just signed Zach Brown to an extended deal. So you got one of the top inside linebackers in the game. You got Ryan Kerrigan on the outside. He's getting a little bit older, so I'm thinking we definitely need to look, as you say, in the trenches. Linebacker, D-line is a perfect fit for me. You know, I'm a defensive guy, so I would love to see it. You know, everyone talks about switching to a 4-3 out of the 3-4 when we already talked about how they're a hybrid defense. They say they're 3-4, but most of the time they line up in the 4-3 formation or they bring the linebacker up. So, as you say, pressure burst pipes, point blank. You get pressure on any quarterback. We saw it with Brady in the Super Bowl. It was one sack in that game, and it was the one sack that changed the whole complexion of that game. There was a turnover in the fourth quarter that allowed Philly to win the Super Bowl. So everything was going cool. No sacks on either side of the ball. But that one play made Philly champion, and we had to throw away all our memes of the ringless Eagles and now still talking trash. And then what made it worse, Villanova won. So then they bragging about having two teams winning the championship in Philly. So that's neither here nor there. We get to the trash talk later on. We got a couple of more folks chiming in. Paul said he wants Juice, a running back. He said normally he doesn't go for a running back in round one with a coach who doesn't run the ball. Exactly. That would be a typical Jay Gruden pick. Pick up a running back in the first round and not play him till week 8.
I'm gonna say this though, and this is with a little bit that I know, and things could change. But we have people in the building, and from what I'm hearing from my colleagues and what they have me reporting on and getting ready for is a running back in the second round. I don't know if people were, cued into that, but Sony Michel has been the guy that they really have liked. From the time of the before the combine, especially after the combine, but the close second would definitely be Geis from LSU, and I don't dislike any of those picks. I would probably take Michelle over Geis, and I know others would probably like to have Geis. He's a little bit of a Marshawn Lynch type of guy, but. If you look at his tape, I had an opportunity being here. You see a lot of LSU. There's some things that, as far as his ball carrying skills and some other things about him early, and mainly in close yardage situations, trying to get that making that first guy miss is a little bit inconsistent. You look at the competition that they faced in some of those games. Not saying this guy, he has the mindset of running over people and getting the job done. But I'm hearing that will be a second round pick. But you know what? It's the Washington Redskins. Who knows? Like, they very well could go nuts and say, hey, let's go get a running back with the 13th pick. So and I don't feel like I also saw, I think here, and I'll touch really quickly, that's my cousin right there, Jarrell Wilson, talking about the 49ers and Raekwon Smith. And I would like to see Raekwon with the Redskins. I don't think a linebacker is a bad pick at this particular, juncture at 13. But yes, 49ers are a team that, pretty solid. They got a quarterback now, and you saw when he was consistent, they can play defensively. They've got some young talent over there. They've showed that they're going to have to do something with their young man, being on that whole in trouble and arrested thing. But, they're going to be pretty good, and he'll probably be there somewhere. I see what is that? Evans, Donnell Evans with the nose tackle in the first round, and I have to agree. And the fourth round pick with the running back, I agree with that as well. I mean, if you look at a couple of the articles that are written there on RedskinsWire.USAToday.com, talking about running backs in the late rounds, the thing of it is, though, and this is where I get a little bit jaded, is Redskins have done an excellent job of like finding late round backs, but that was in Shanahan era. Lately, it doesn't matter if you pick them in the second or you pick them in the fourth, and I understand your thought process on that. But the fact of the matter is they haven't hit all the time with these late round picks and running backs. So you got to have to switch it up a little bit because they just haven't been good at selecting a third, fourth, fifth round guy that can be a running back and be consistent here in the running game. And so I guess you have to switch it up, and you're going to have to take a higher pick. That's a little bit more of a grinder, and maybe somebody that's a little bit more, what do you want to say, sure thing, I'll say.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need change of pace back. Chris Thompson coming back off an injury. You got Shamar J.P. Ryan, you got Kelly. But as we saw with Alex Smith, he thrives on playmakers. He's a short, everybody complains he's a dink and dunk guy. But you saw what happens when you put playmakers around him. They can make people miss and turn that 5-yard dink into an 80-yard touchdown, or at least an explosive play to flip field position, or at least, get a team back in the game. So, I wouldn't mind a running back in the early rounds, but I'm a defensive guy. Nose tackle, if they do that, I'd be ecstatic. If linebacker, I'd be happy. Anything on the defense to step it up.
That front seven.
Yeah, I'm all for it. So we talked about late round gems and everything. With the, slow off season this team has had, not really making any big moves, re-signing a few people. We talked about them possibly, trading the first round and drafting back. I like that philosophy because, like you say, you want to get more quality of a higher round pick than getting a late round pick. Do you see any players on this team that might be possibly packaged in the deal that might make something like that happen, just shot in the dark?
I don't think so. And personally, if I'm Doug Williams, or I'm just going to say Doug Williams and Schaefer, I don't really care about Bruce Allen. I think those guys are doing an excellent job. I think they're pretty much, have a really hard say in what's going on here. And I don't think that's necessary. At 13, if somebody is desperate, that's your whole thing. You're going to pick your guy. You have your board, and you're going to pick your guy at 13. And you probably know who that guy is. I'm not with those people that think that, it's Vita Vea because it's the most predictable pick in Redskins history. Go kick cans. Okay, that's a clickbait story, garbage. But I'm not going to sit up here and say it's a sure thing. They can. There's, as much as I know, when the draft hit and people start getting that little itch and think that quarterbacks are coming off the board really quickly. I mean, look at the Bears with Mitch Trubisky. Who thinks the Bears are coming up from where they are to draft Mitch Trubisky? Like, I mean, they went up and they gave away some quality picks to get who they thought was their quarterback of the future. So at 13, whether it's a quarterback, guys, if they're desperate, they're going to come up and get it, and you're not going to have to auction off anything. They'll be willing to. You can name your price pretty much at that point. I mean, you're not holding the 20th pick in the draft. 15. Somebody's going to want to come up and get some of that. So, I don't think there's no need for any players. No more players need to be traded away from the Redskins. I think fans were kicked in the balls, so to speak, when Kendall Fuller was packaged in that deal. But, hey, it's something that had to be done. And honestly, when you look at it, they really, with that pick, they don't have to. And, hey, for the first time, people are actually going after Redskins players and finding value in Redskins players. So, it's a good time. It's a good time, and really Redskins fans should be pretty excited. I know the wins don't necessarily, have that excitement level up to where they would like it to be, but talent-wise, and Doug Williams said it today, they're excited, and he felt like at the end of camp, he had a good football team, and at the end of right now, today, he thinks he has a good football team. So you can't argue with that.
Very true, very true. He's there every day. He's scouting them, and hopefully they can put together a quality team that doesn't get hit with the injury bug like it did last year. But I think this was one of your folks again, Danelle Bland asked about, what do you think the Lions need?
That's my brother. He's a Detroit native. So, we think we have it bad. They have it worse. Detroit is what Seattle used to be. I think now that come on Seattle thing is now come on Detroit. They have the quarterback. If I'm them, you pretty much have a pretty solid defense. Well, as deep as this draft is now, it's about getting depth for them. And they probably won't, you don't have to draft. I don't think anyone has to draft a receiver early, but we know a receiver's coming off the board early. Dallas Cowboys. The receivers coming off the board early in that first round. You're probably going to have one or two. But if you see an article I have out now talking about Redskins and their early, some late round wide receivers to examine, there's plenty of receivers out here. Big, tall, big hands, have a wide range of being able to go up and get the ball at its highest point. And I think that's something that would help Detroit. They have the quarterback. Maybe you get another running back late to help them, but it's all going to be predicated on depth for them. And again, another team that just needs to be consistent. And when they get to the big dance and get to the time where they can be in the playoffs, they just have something happens, like chemically just goes awry, and they just don't put it together. But that's not a non-talented team. They just need to continue to build the depth of that football team in hopes that they can challenge the other teams in their division, which is going to be tough. You got Green Bay, and I don't think they're as high as they used to be, but Minnesota has potential to be high. But we're going to find out, and Minnesota fans are going to find out, why all these Kirk apologists about how this guy really is. Now, if he's all in with this team because he's guaranteed and everything else, he may perform a lot better because he's all in, but he's still not a leader. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from guys inside the locker room. So, I'm just a messenger, guys. That's just facts. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in that division. But the Lions are in a tough division. And if anybody's called the NASCAR division now, it's got to be the NFC North. You don't really know what the Bears are going to do, but they have potential. The Lions have talent. Minnesota has talent. Green Bay has talent as long as Aaron Rodgers is back there. And I'm not going to go Stephen A. Smith on you, but he's a bad man. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out.
We definitely going to find out. The Lions, I think their biggest thing is the same thing with the Redskins and Jay. They don't stick to the run enough. They depend too much on the passing game. And you have to run the ball to milk the clock. You got to run the ball to let the offensive linemen get their push. If they're always pass blocking, they're getting pushed back because they have to stand up and take a step back to get in position. When they're run blocking, they're pushing off the ball. That means they're exerting their energy onto the defense, which wears them out. A lot of folks don't understand it. Even if you're getting 2 or 3 yards on those runs and you have to punt the ball, you still have to wear that defense down, because Redskins fans, we've seen it over and over again. When our defense gets wore down in the fourth quarter with the team with a lead, and they start pounding the ball down the middle, and the Redskins can't stop, and the only way they can is by taking a timeout. And timeouts don't win games. Stopping the other team does.
Exactly.
As he said, you got to have depth. You got to have players that's all in, and you got to have quality scouts that's going to pick the right players for the team. And that's one thing I can say this team has improved on. And the one thing I did like about the whole Scott situation, even though he's gone, when he first got here, I don't know if folks remember, he came in. The scouting department has been an issue for the Redskins for a while. So he came in and he has his own scouting team. And they asked him, was he going to tear up the whole joint and bring his people in? He said, no, I'm going to wait for the first season to see how things go. We saw how things went that first season. He let the Redskins scouting department roll. So I say that to say this. The people that's in there now were under Scott. So we basically heard the team let him roll and put the work for him. So I applaud this draft with the heavy defense emphasis, and I'm hoping the same thing this year, but we do need all the players. So I'm afraid of the first round to get more picks. Somebody's greedy and over desperate, want to give up some quality picks. I have no problem with that. I bring it on.
Well, I'm going to drop some quick knowledge on y'all. This is via my colleague and boss, Lake Lewis, that did some research here about the Redskins' first-round draft picks. Now, Redskins have had some over the last several seasons, since 2006, they've hit on Pro Bowlers. You look at LaRon Landry, Brian Arakpo, Trent Williams, Ryan Kerrigan, Robert Griffin III, Brandon Sheriff, just to name a few of these guys. And they're in the 75 percentile when you look at teams that have acquired first-round picks in their first-round picks, and their first-round picks have turned out to be Pro Bowlers. Out of those 8 first-round picks, Washington Redskins have hit on 6 Pro Bowlers, and they're at 75%. Teams like the Vikings, Dallas Cowboys, New England Patriots are 55% in that first round. And there's like 4 teams tied for that are 12 picks or more that only have 6 Pro Bowlers that are 50% in that first round pick scenario. And they've had more picks than the Redskins. So they've done a fairly decent job in finding guys that can perform in that first round. And to be quite honest with you, outside of the first round, you look at guys like Alfred Morris. You look at guys that last year, every guy that they selected last year played a part. Josh Harvey Clemens, Holsey, I don't even think old Fish Smithson was even drafted. They've been really good on finding guys late that come in and can produce and help the football team. And that in itself is very important, just as important, if not more important, than your first and second round selections.
Very true. Like you say, late round depth is key because it adds the depth to the position. And you mentioned, that Patriots, that's kind of ironic. They have so many late round hits that they would be one of the teams that have first round misses. I guess it's funny it works out like that. We have the Redskins have a lot of hits in the first round, late round busts, but lately we've been hitting on first round and been getting some late round players. So as we've said over and over again, the team is improving. It might not be in the wins department where we want or where the expectations are, but you have to look at what Bruce and Dan, have done. Even though there's so much hate for him, there's so much. For some reason, nobody forgets his first impression. Okay, he was a dick. He treated the franchise like it was a fantasy football league and a business. But ever since about 2010, 2011, all he's done is open his wallet and said, what do y'all need to win? They put Bruce Allen in place. Our salary cap was in turmoil. He got the salary cap in place, got rid of the dead weight, got rid of the cancers in the locker room, and has built the quality roster. But yet, Redskins fans are still acting like we're 0-16. I'm like, people.
But I can understand it. I can understand it. 78, 113, and 1 is the record since 2006. It's kind of disappointing. They've hit on so many first-round picks, but just the wins just don't correlate. But it's also been a level of inconsistency, too. I think many have hit on that and understand that. Some understand that. That's why I'm not, when after week 3 or week 4 and the team's 1-3 and they're ready to fire everyone. I think we understand that it has, this is the first coach since North Turner that is in his 5th season as the head coach. Consistency. And it's not just consistency at quarterback. It's not just consistency at any wide receiver or offensive line or any other position. Coach is the main thing. Because if you get rid of a coach, then you get rid of a system. Then you get rid of a staff. So you can have all this talent. That's great. But when you're turning the staff over, they're having to learn new systems over and over and over again. They never establish anything, and they never become proficient in anything. So I think that's been an issue and a contributor to this 78-113-1 record since 2006. That is there. So we'll see. Hopefully, there'll be some consistency here, and Jay can stay longer. And we'll see what happens. 5th season, and they have a quarterback, Alex Smith now. And I agree, Gerald. He's a winner. And I've put up several things when he first got here about the fact that I listened. Rich Tandler, and I love the guy. Made a comment today about Kirk 90% and his record was like 2-11. And I think Alex Smith's record was 9-9, same type of completion percentage. And he says that it speaks to the players around him. I totally disagree. And I love the guy, but I disagree.
Oh, don't tell me we lost him right there. Damn, that was some good stuff. Let me see if I can get him back. It's crazy how it works like that. He was about to give us some great insight, and we lost him. See if I can get him back on here. There you go. Yes. See if we can get him back on. But that's some great stuff. I appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. There you go. We got him back. As soon as you about to give that nugget, the joint just died.
Yeah. What I'm getting ready to say was it speaks to, he said it speaks to the talent around him. And that's not true. Alex Smith has done more with less. And you can talk about Tyreek Hill all you want to, but he all he had is Tyreek Hill and a tight end. You look at his early career with the 49ers when Vernon Davis was there. I don't want to hear about Crabtree. Crabtree he's still not super great. He makes plays though, but he's not the Crabtree today as he was then. Throughout his career, he's done way more with less. And all this excuses about, it speaks to the talent around him and he didn't have enough talent. Look, you go out and you play with the guys that you have, and if you're any kind of a leader with any kind of guts and cojones, you're going to go out and win ball games. But you can't go out and win ball games without taking any chances, worrying about whether you're throwing interceptions or not, giving your guys an opportunity to make plays, believing in them. This team is not depleted in the talent department at wide receiver. Inexperienced, yes. But to sit up here and act like, they're not talented and they're not this or that it's hogwash. And I'm sorry, Alex Smith ain't had jack. He just had a coach that says, hey, and when push comes to shove, we're going to run the football. And they do that. But we're not going to sit up here and make this thing about Kirk didn't have no talent, because there's a lot of quarterbacks that look real good that don't have the best talent around them. But they go out there and give it their all and start punching guys in the mouth and make plays and make things happen and put their guys in the best position to make plays and to give them an opportunity to make plays to win ball games. So, love the guy, don't agree though. Don't agree at all. Hence 2-11. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's all different perspectives and ways to look at it. They got stats for days and numbers you can look at and analytics and everything. But it comes down to the guys on the field with them. If they have faith in them and believe in them, that's going to be the measuring stick that's going to get this team over the hump. And the way Smith has come in, you know he wants to be here. You know what he brings to the table. So, all we got to do is get him some playmakers around him with the ones we already have. I mean, like you say, this team isn't bare. You still got Jordan Reed coming back. You got Crowder. You got Doxson looking to make a statement season after that great season he had last year. I'm looking for a 1,000-yard season from him personally, myself. I told him that when I met him at the convention center when I was working. So that's not just something I'm saying right here. I said the same thing to him. But this team is definitely, on the rise and in a positive direction. So it's pretty much nothing else to say except for wait for the OTAs, wait to see who they draft this weekend, and just hopefully I'm already started praying right now, Dujunnea, that Jay have another soft training camp. I just started praying. I think I done turned Muslim for this. I think I'm praying 5 times a day that Jay has a rougher training camp than Jonathan Allen had at Alabama.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are hoping that is the case. You definitely have to be aggressive. You definitely have to be physical in camp. If you got the bubble wrap on, as Doc Walker would say, that's not going to really help you. And that may be a little bit of a contributing factor to the fact that they had as many injuries as they had. I was looking at some of the comments here. Gerald was asking if this is a playoff team. I thought the Redskins were a playoff team last year. They were in a lot of games last year. And really their defense was looking to be top 10, at least maybe top 12 before all the injuries. And you don't like to use injuries as excuses because there are teams that, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, I think they were ranked number 1 in rush defense. They were in top, if not the number, they were in top 5, at least top 10 defensively. They lost some key players as well. But I think the team is a playoff team. And with Alex Smith gives them a better opportunity of a guy who's been there and done that. And I know his record in the playoffs isn't that great, but his defenses hadn't really played that great either. And I think Paul was talking about finding a versatile running back, and I agree. I'm not 100% giving up on Samaje Perine. I just think Rob Kelly is not that guy. Can't stay healthy, very inconsistent, and we know what Chris Thompson is. I think he'll be just that. When he comes back from injury, he's a guy who takes care of himself, takes care of his body very well, and I think he'll be just fine. You look at Samaje, I think we talked about this before, Carroll. Guy got a little shell shock and got a little scary when he fumbled a couple of critical times. And then that changed the way his running style. He has the ability to break first tackles, get into the second level and make people miss. And that's why I'm not sold on the fact that you have to draft a running back first round. I personally don't even feel like you have to draft them in the second round. But that's what this team is probably going to look to do. There's some guys that are game changers there, and I can't not agree with them on that. But this draft is deep at a lot of positions, especially at running back. And I don't think they have to go that far, but it is what it is. But I'm not saying that things are over for Samaje Perine at all. I think he has all the potential in the world to be that number 1 back. But in this day and age, and what Jay does, and I wrote about this in a previous article as well, talking about balance is relative with the Redskins, and it's relative in today's NFL. Some guys do run the ball and it's 50-50. Jay is not that guy. I don't think his offense does not work. The fact of the matter is, though, when you have a running game and that's what you're saying that it's going to be a 40% run game, 45% run game, and you're going to pass the rest of the time, you have to be consistent at that level. You have to run it effectively when you do run it. whether your other outside runs are screens or pitches or whatever, passing to the running back out of the backfield. You have to be consistent when you do run between the tackles, when you try to run the ball in a conventional running formation, however that is. You just got to be more creative. And I think the offensive line has to find, as has been said by previous Wizards coaches, they have to harvest their nuts. You got to get out there and you got to be the guys that say, hey, I am not going to lose this battle on the line. You're not going to push me into my backfield. I'm going to whoop you every chance I get, and I'm going to dominate. And I think that's what's going to help everything. That mentality of not allowing the opponent to get to you first. And if they can establish that, I think this team's definitely can run the ball more effectively. But a balance doesn't mean they're going to run it 50-50. Because Jay is known to take whatever the defense is going to give him. And I don't blame him, because there's times where they could pass a lot and it works. But sometimes those passes weren't necessarily solid and they weren't where the receivers could make plays. They were in areas where the receiver would have to make some kind of heroic catch or acrobatic catch to, some ESPN highlight reel to make it work. And with Alex, you get a little bit more accurate quarterback. And I think it's been said here amongst the comments here, he doesn't turn the ball over. And that's important. It's just a matter of keeping him clean. So, but I'm not washing my hands of Samanje. I think he's going to be a stud. He just got a little, struck with the he thought he had a case of the fumbleitis, and it wasn't that bad.
Well, we know that different players handle the league and learn the league at different times. So some guys hit the ground running first season, they're good to go. Middle of the season, they figure it out. So that's a hopeful sign that next year he'll be, he knows what to expect. He's going to be ready, secure the ball, keep it high and tight, run some people over and get some first downs. That's all I care about.
Right. And Paul said that he saw what happened to Matt Jones. You're right about that. Matt Jones went right to the doghouse. They took him out back. They didn't even take him to the doghouse. They took him out back and just chained him up to a pole and left him. They didn't even keep him at the house. They just took him to an abandoned building and tied him up and said, bye.
You can get in Jay Doghouse, you got to basically be Jesus Christ the Savior to get out of it or walk on water or something. So Jay need to put himself in the doghouse sometime for his play call. So I don't know about his doghouse, but I know we done kept you for a while going on 6 o'clock our time. So I know you got a busy day. You got articles to write and get ready for the draft this weekend just like I do. So as always, we appreciate your time and your insights. Go ahead and let the folks know some articles you got coming out, and we can get out of here.
Well, you can go there right now. There's tons of stuff up by my colleagues, Lake Lewis, Diane Cheeseborough. We have a new person, Chris. Tons of stuff up there, redskinswire.usatoday.com. My latest article is about 4 wide receivers that the Redskins should examine late. Like I said, there's a ton of talent in this draft. There will be guys that will hit like free agency after the draft because there are a lot of talented wide receivers, big, strong-handed wide receivers that can be there. Just keep a lookout for continual updates on mock draft and other things that we have coming out. And again, we're going to have everything that you need and all the coverage inside and out when the draft hits. And I'm looking forward to it because all this talking about it is just like we're just talking. We're talking so much now. Like there's nothing more left to talk about. Like I can't see how any fan can watch Path to the Draft. They beat that horse. That horse is dead. Like that horse is jello now.
He's sitting there with a mock draft sheet in front of him, trying to get to the last update so they can try to figure out the team going. It used to be me, but not no more. There's too many other sports going on right now.
Yep. And
But as always, we appreciate it, Mike.
it's not easy. You know, everybody acts like it's so cut and dry, but I think last year proved it. No one ever thought that Jonathan Allen would have fell to Washington. And secondly, the Mitch Trubisky pick, there were so many like surprises. And as much as people, talk to different ones inside and outside of the locker room, when the day hits and nerves start going and phones start ringing and pick exchanges start happening, that forced some guys to do some different things. And it also depends on how these people come off the board. Again, everybody thinks 5 quarterbacks are going to come off the board in the first 10. I'm not 100% sold on that. I really not.
I don't see that.
You look at these teams.
I don't see that.
That's not that, they have other needs, and I just don't see 5 quarterbacks. But if there's a run on quarterbacks before the Redskins pick, especially if Arizona goes quarterback, which I think they picked before Washington, there could be some team below them that is desperate and feels like their guy may not be on the board. And who knows? We're talking about quarterbacks, but there could be any position, running back, wide receivers. Somebody could be desperate and feel like their guy won't be there, and they'll make a move that they shouldn't. But that benefits a team that's sitting at top 13, and they'll gain some picks out of it. So, again, it's fun to talk about, but it's going to be even more interesting to watch come Thursday night, seeing this first round, how it shakes out, and where some of these guys go.
No doubt, no doubt. It's already an exciting week for sports, and Caps won last night. I think you got the playing tonight.
Yeah.
You got the Nats playing. They lost to San Francisco last night. Hopefully they can get on the board tonight. So it's so much going on with the show and the network and sports. So, yeah, let me get out of here, let you get out of here. I know you got some articles to write. I know I got some videos to do or something sports-related. So, as always, appreciate it. I'll be at the draft party this Saturday at FedEx Field. Y'all make sure y'all come on. Yeah, I know y'all going to be out there already, but make sure if you see me, holler at me. I'm going to see if I can get some tailgating done with y'all. I might have some adult beverages with me. Who knows? But stay tuned for so much more. Like I said, go check out the video with the Olympic gold medal winner, Haley Skarupa, last night. Robbie and myself had a great interview with her. Go check it out. Check out my YouTube channel with all the highlights, show footage. Everything is up there. Carroll Porter III on YouTube. SportsOTHP. Google us. Go to sportsothp.com. Check out the apparel line, SportsOTHP Apparel. Cop some gear. Help support one of the best. No, not one of. The best place for DC sports in the DMV. I'm claiming that. I done called out 1067. I done called all of them out. And they blocked me because they don't want this work. Because we doing real work. We not just giving you anonymous sources. We not giving you BS rumors. We bringing you real insight every day, every week, whenever you want it, we got it. We want insider. You see the inside right there. Ain't no anonymous source. You want to know what info? That's that man right there. Ain't no water boy and no towel boy. They call him once a week. What did you hear? Oh, Kurt and RG3 beefing? RG3 not even on the team no more. Come on, man. Step your game up. But Dujunnea, as always, love you, bro. Appreciate it. I'm going to rap to you. I'm going to get this video up on the YouTube channel, share it out. So, as always, Sports on the Hill Podcast, True Radio Network, DC Sports Politics. We're more than just radio. Y'all be easy and have a good night.
Easy.
All right.